Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings and alola, Pokemaniacs. You don't know how many takes it's taken not to say aloha. You have no idea. But last video, we have arrived in the land of Alola. Apparently this takes place 2 months after the X and Y arc. We are introduced to a young girl named Moon, who is known for her pharmaceutical abilities, able to heal both people and Pokemon with her concoction. She's come to make a delivery of a Rotom to the local professor. Along the way, she encounters Sun, a courier who is looking to earn 1 million Pokebucks. He also has a Pokédex of all things, though he's not really one to use it. He's on the beach doing a job for Team Skull, but they try to grift him a little bit, so he ends up fighting them off. And for ending up getting her caught up in a bit of a situation, Sun offers to help deliver Moon's goods, which consist of her and the Rotom, to Professor Kukui. Team Skull tells it to their boss, your boy Guzma, who's looking to teach Sun a lesson about not messing with Team Skull. Along the way, Sun and Moon encounter the local deity of Melemele Island, Tapu Koko, who goes on the attack. After a brief skirmish, Tapu Koko leaves, with nothing but the item used to create Z-Stone, Z-Rings, a stone made to create Z-Rings, left behind now in Sun's possession. Meanwhile, the island kahunas, who are in charge of the islands of Alola, have a meeting in regards to Tapu Koko and the other Tapu, and how they seem to be angered by something. After Sun makes the delivery of Moon and the Rotom is given to Kukui to create a Rotom Dex, a device created by Clement. But unfortunately, because of Sun's mishandling of the Pokédex, Rotom really isn't interested in going into it. Meanwhile, the kahunas have decided to host a tournament to find a trainer who can help to soothe the Tapu's fury, with Kukui entering Sun into it, mostly because, what Sun did. With Moon still hanging around, she sees Sun entered into the festival despite his protests. Moon ends up being asked by Olivia to help her decide the placements in the tournament. After meeting several contestants, one of significance is Lily, who more or less was accidentally entered into the tournament. She's doing her best to hide a little Pokemon Cosmog, nicknamed Nebby, in her bag, but it runs off, with the girls giving chase. They come to a bridge where Nebby is accosted by a flock of Spearow. Lily, too scared to do anything, is shocked to see Moon dive in without hesitation, even when the bridge collapses, only for them to be saved by, of all Pokemon, Tapu Koko. But wasn't it just attacking them? But after Tapu Koko takes off, Moon decides to enter into the tournament in Lily's place. And the tournament begins. Sun against the Masked Royal. Who could it be beneath the mask? Join me as we find out. Eventually, won't you? Alright, let's get it started! The tournament in Icky Town? More specifically, this chapter is called The Announcement and the Prize, and very important for a tournament. Nice little cover with Gladian, Hau, Sun, Moon, and the Masked Royal. Grunt A. He's not significant enough. The full force battle begins. Alright, we pick up with the battle between Sun and the Masked Royal. Sun rather lazily tells Litten to use Dollar to use Ember, whereas the Masked Royal commands Rockruff to use Rock Throw. Both Pokemon trade blows and they're fairly even. Chertaro, the announcer, says, even with rocks being shot at it, Litten takes every chance to get to land a hit. It gets to land a hit. It's somewhat reckless, but has incredible fighting spirit. While its trainer Sun, he doesn't seem to have much motivation. Sun, who is familiar with Melemele due to his work as a courier, has mastered the art of riding, but not battling, perhaps. While the Masked Royal is an active trainer at Akala Island's brand new Royal Dome. Oh, so it's already been built. He's a candidate for victory, but what's underneath his mask is shrouded in mystery. who will take victory in the first full force battle. I love how you have these nice little pictures for everyone except for Moon, who just has a sticky note with her name posted on top of Lily's picture. Oh, Lily was set to go up against Gladion. That would have been interesting. The Masked Royal questions, "What's wrong, Courier? Aren't you going to say something like, Litten can win even with a type affinity disadvantage? Are you really that uninterested?" Sun basically blows it off saying, "Of course I am. I mean, it'd be different if they were giving prize money or something that could be sold," but the Masked Royal laughs. "You're the same as ever." Sun questions this and so does Moon, as she thinks to herself, that voice just now. All of a sudden, Sun is grabbing onto the Masked Royal's mask, trying to rip it off, saying, "What do you mean by the same? Do I know you from somewhere? Take off the mask." While the Masked Royal shouts, "Hey, would you get off of me? This is foul play." Chertaro then announces, "Oh there, it seems that the trainers have begun battling each other. On the other hand, Litten and Rockruff are fighting the same way. Is this all right? Is this really all right?" Only for Hala to come in announcing, "Sun, Masked Royal, battle properly or you'll both be disqualified." Chertaro says, "Well, here's our answer, folks. The island Kahuta has given them a warning." Sun, still trying to rip off the mask, says, "I don't really care." While the Masked Royal says, "Sorry, Hala. Sun is right. If my opponent can't give 100%, there's no point in battling. Will you mind telling us what the prize is?" Hal then questions Moon, saying, "I hope the prize is a all-you-can-eat malasada, don't you?" Moon simply says, "No, not really." Hala says, "Fine then. The prize I will present to the winner of the full force battle is this." Hala holds up something, which is a amulet. Ah, yes. Hal sulks, saying, "So it wasn't malasada." Moon questions what that is, but the Masked Royal seems to know. Someone calls out in the crowd saying, "That's an island challenge amulet. That's an island challenge amulet." "It is? I've never seen one in person." Sun listens to all the whispers in the crowd, thinking to himself, "What's all the fuss about? Are you telling me that's an incredible treasure? If I sold it, it'd be worth a fortune." Oh God, I kind of hate to whip his line of thought. Sun, now invigorated, leaps off the Masked Royal's back, saying, "Oh, Masked Royal, your ass is grass, and I'm the lawnmower." This translation, "That treasure is coming home with me." The Masked Royal, motions to Sun to bring it on, saying, "That's more like it. Come at me." He commands Rockruff to use Rock Throw, but Litten manages to dodge. Chertaro announces, "The amount of rocks falling increases, but Litten dodges them all with its magnificent footwork. Quite the change from the recklessness it displayed before. Sun's also like a completely different person." Ooh, and then Litten slams into Rockruff, knocking it out. Chertaro announces, "What a powerful tackle! Rockruff is unable to battle." The Masked Royal recalls Rockruff, saying, "You did great. Return." Meanwhile, he thinks to himself, "So that was it. With the amulet as the prize, could it be? That means..." But as the Masked Royal looks towards Hala, Sun calls out, "Eyes over here." The Masked Royal declares, "You seem excited by taking one team member down, but..." He sends out Munchlax, who immediately goes into a rollout, I think? Ooh, slamming into Litten. Moon says his second Pokemon is Munchlax. Rollout, huh? That's more of a pain than Rock Throw, definitely. Or is it Hal saying that? Rollout, huh? And then Moon says, "Definitely. Each consecutive attack is stronger than the last." And Munchlax doesn't stop. Chasing down Litten, running him over again. Jeebus. And Munchlax just does not let up. The Masked Royal questions, "How long do you plan on running around? Why don't you switch Pokemon?" Sun declares, "Not a chance." The Masked Royal says, "I don't understand. Litten's taken damage from both Rock Throw and Rollout. Not to mention Munchlax's ability is Thick Fat, which has the effectiveness of fire-type moves. Do you really think that Litten can win? Chertaro announces, it's just as the Masked Royal says. Sun's Litten seems to be having trouble just standing up. As once again Munchlax rams into Litten. Litten seems to be down. As Chertaro announces, Litten can no longer stand. Victory is as good as gone, but Sun still refuses to switch Pokémon. What is he doing? Sun simply says, I don't have a choice. My goal is to save 100 million yen, so I have to get that prize. I can't afford to lose. That's why I fight in a way that'll guarantee my success. I want to win, he says, holding up his hand for the money sign. He calls out, dollar, get him. And, we see something next to Litten, and he sets it on fire, and the fire starts to spread. Oh, was Litten laying down, like, hairballs or something? Because now Munchlax is surrounded by flames. Hal questions, what's happening? Well, Moon seems to realize something, saying, there's a bunch of hairball-like things on the stage, and they're being lit one by one. The Masked Royal calls out, I get it. Litten built up the fur inside its stomach when it grooms itself and sets it alight to spew fiery attacks, but it dropped unlit fur balls on stage while pretending to run around. We see the Pokédex entry, Litten, the fire cat Pokémon. While grooming itself, it builds up fur inside its stomach. It sets the fur light and spews attacks, which something based on how it coughs. Sun says, that's right. What are you happy about? The Masked Royal says, damn you! Chertaro then announces, Munchlax is completely surrounded by flames. It has nowhere to run. And as the smoke clears, we see Munchlax is down. The crowd cheers, and Professor Samson Oak and Hala both declare Sun the winner. Well, place their favor in Sun direction. Sun holds up Litten as Chertaro announces Munchlax is unable to battle. The winner of the first match is Sun. Sun then applies some potion to Litten, saying thanks a bunch, dollar. With this, we're one step closer to the 100 million yen. One step closer to the edge, and he's about to break. We then have Nanu? Yeah, Nanu and Olivia. And Nanu saying, unexpected result right from the start. Our candidate for victory is lost. Olivia says, yep. Nano then smiles, saying, this'll be a ride. These full force battles. As Sun walks off the stage, Moon says, great job out there. That was an amazing battle. Sun waves to her, saying, hey there, miss. He then jabs at her, saying, how much you think it's worth? Moon questions, how much what's worth? Sun says, that treasure. The Masked Royal kept glancing at it during our match. It's got to be worth a ton. I wonder how much I could sell it for. Moon simply says, I wouldn't know. But as the Masked Royal overhears this, he says to himself, the island challenge. Meanwhile, at Kakui's lab, Burnett reels on her sofa, saying, the Masked Royal lost. It must be because I wasn't cheering him on from the battlefield. But then she says, oh no. Heads up to the second floor, only to spot Lily asleep on the sofa with Nebby. Burnett sighs, saying, you're sleeping. She thinks to herself, yeah, you're sleeping well, but you seem in pain even curled up like that. As she sees a distressed look on Lily's face, despite being at rest. She thinks, it's been 3 months since I found you collapsed on the beach, and you've always been afraid of something. Maybe because you couldn't relax with me gone? I'm sorry, Lily. I won't go anywhere tonight, so don't worry. She then heads back downstairs and plops on the couch, saying, oh, the next match is starting. We hear Chertaro's announcement saying, match number 2. Hao and Gladion have arrived on stage. Meanwhile, Lily starts to tear up in her sleep, muttering, brother, mother. We then see Hal send out Pichu, while Gladion sends out Porygon. Oh, okay. Wait, did Gladion have a Porygon? I don't remember him having a Porygon. No, he had a Zubat. Yeah, a Zubat and a Sneasel, and then a Lucario. Oh, he had a Porygon in the later game. Okay. Well, he had a Porygon Z specifically. So I guess it makes sense for them to have him have a Porygon here. Alright, Hal versus Gladion. Chertaro announces, Hal's first pick is Pichu. Gladion has sent out Porygon. It seems that Hal is the grandson of Mili Mili Kahuna Hala. His favorite food is malasada. On the other side, we have Gladion. We have no information on him whatsoever, not even his favorite food. That is actually a good question. I don't know Gladion's favorite food. Hal commands Pichu to use Charge Beam, while Gladion commands Porygon to use Psybeam. The two attacks clash, but during the pretty much beam struggle, Gladion says, "So you're the Kahuna's grandson. What are you fighting for? You probably want to be recognized as your own person instead of your great-grandfather's grandson. Or you want to overtake your grandfather, right?" Hal's kind of taken off guard by this, and then simply says, Pokemon battling is fun and I like it, so I joined. Is that not a good reason? Yeah, I mean, that's how. As simple a reasoning as any. Gladion dismisses it, saying, "You like it and it's fun. Only a weakling would use an excuse like that, so they won't be upset if they lose." Porygon then manages to overwhelm Pichu. Hairtaro announces, "Pichu has been defeated." Gladion goes over to Pichu, recalling it, saying, "You did your best." He then sends out Komala, while Gladion says, "We'll switch out too," and then sends out Type Null. As the two face off, a figure approaches Gladion from behind, saying, "Impressive Pokemon you've got there. A mask, no restraints. I've never seen anything like it. Will it not listen to you without that on?" Nanu questions. Gladion says, "It'd be trouble if its power wasn't controlled." Nanu says, "Then why use it?" Gladion, in the angstiest way possible, says, "To get my point across. It's fun and I like it. Pokemon have problems that can't be solved by thinking like that." Nanu says, "Ho-ho," but Hala calls out, "Nanu, would you please refrain from speaking to competitors during matches?" Nanu waves it all, saying, "My bad." Hal says, "Is everyone here a pain or what? Komala, use Rapid Spin." And Komala does just that, spinning towards Type Null, around Type Null specifically. Hairtaro announces, "Ooh, what incredible speed! It's fast, even though it's asleep. How in the world?" On the other hand, Type Null moves sluggishly. Is its metallic mass that heavy? But Type Null manages to land a headbutt, with Hairtaro saying, "Whoa, a solid hit with Iron Head." Komala is sent flying. Meanwhile, over with Team Skull, the female grunt says, "I guess Komala never get paralyzed." The male grunt, Grunt A, says, "I hear they're not affected by any status conditions because they're always sleeping," only for a voice to call out from behind, "Hey, the hell are you doing?" Suddenly Grunt A is sent flying. Hala notices this as he's sent flying right into the ring, interrupting the battle. Hala says, "What is this about, Grunt A?" Only for a voice to call out, "Well, you see, he's been gravely injured and can't compete anymore. I'll be taking his place. You don't mind, do you?" As Guzma arrives with his Goliath Pod. I love Goliath Pod. I can't remember the exact order of events that happened. I can't remember if I fought Guzma and saw the Goliath Pod for the first time. I remember freaking out at this thing with the way that it looked when it first showed up. I'm like, what the heck is that? I thought it was the most intense looking Pokemon possible. And then I came upon a Wurmple and I was like, oh man, I don't know if I knew what it evolved into, but I got a Wurmple and then I evolved it into a Goliath Pod. But I can't remember if I got the Wurmple before I battled Guzma, because I think you find it on a beach. I think there's like a cutscene where you see the Wurmple, and I kind of dismissed it and just put it in the box, and then maybe I saw Goliath Pod and was just like, oh, it evolves into that, and then I brought it out and evolved it. I can't remember if it was before or after, but I've had a Goliath Pod in Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield. Well, Moon and then Sword. But Goliath Pod, despite its special ability, which is Wimp Out, because once it gets to a certain low health, it just kind of flees the battle, whether trading out with a Pokemon or if you're going up against wild Pokemon, causing you to run away from the fight. which could sometimes be a bit of a problem in some cases. Sometimes I'd forget about that ability and be fighting something. The Goliath pod would get kind of low because I'm trying to, get the Pokemon's health down so I could catch it. And then so the Pokemon I have has to endure a lot of hits. But once it gets to a certain point, it leaves and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot. But I think that's one of the reasons why I love Team Skull. Guzma having a Goliath pod. Hala doesn't respond, but you hear whispers or just the audience talking amongst themselves saying, it's the boss! That's Team Skull's boss! Olivia approaches Guzma saying, hey, the full force battles have already started, Barging in like this is really... But Guzma says, hey now, what's that all about then? He points to Moon saying, isn't that girl an emergency replacement too? What makes her any different from me? Olivia grows angry, but Hala simply says, fine, I will allow your participation. Guzma eyes Hala saying, no, that's what I'm talking about. Guzma then spots Sun saying, so you're the part-timer. I'm the boss of Team Skull. Name's Guzma. Came to give you an ass kicking. The laughter wasn't there, but I added it. See, that sounds about right. Because I'm just like, I think you do battle a Team Skull grunt during the fight in the town, but I can't remember if Guzma did show up towards the end or not. Maybe. Hard to say. Alright, so I accidentally started reading the 7th chapter, not realizing that I was supposed to be reading the 6th, and it was missing from where I was reading it from. So there's gonna be a bit of a weird edit coming up. So don't question it too much. Oh man, wow, that's embarrassing. So this is chapter 6, the Party Crasher and Guzma the Destroyer. And don't think about what I say later in the next chapter too hard once it begins, because I got halfway through that and was just like, something ain't right here. I feel like I think I missed something. I didn't even notice I didn't even get to the end of the battle between Al and Gladion. I didn't question it because I was so interested in Gladion's situation. Alright, who will win the full force battle? We see Type Null use X-Scissor, but Kamala manages to dodge. Oh, I thought it dodged, but it falls back, and Chartaro announces, it's finished! Kamala is unable to battle. Victory goes to Gladion and Type Null. Okay. But Hal just happily says, you're so strong, using X-Scissor after making up for low speed with Flame Charge, huh? I lost, but this match was a ton of fun. Gladion just glares at Hal, and Hal shuts himself up, saying, it's like, sorry. But as Gladion walks off, Moon watches him. She thinks to herself, Type Null. Its front legs, hind legs, and tail, its entire body lacks unity. Almost as if it's a Pokemon that was spliced together. You can't discern its type from its looks or moves. The meaning of the name, Type Null, though. But her train of thought is interrupted as Sun comes up slapping her on the back saying, yo, miss, looks like your opponent's been decided. Think you can win? Moon says, who knows? Sun says, if we end up having to face off in the finals, I won't go easy on you. The one who will win the Island Challenge Amulet and make money off it will be none other than me. Only for Guzma to come up behind him saying, oh, so you think you'll beat me in the next round, huh? Sun just pauses with a worried look, says, you could say that. Guzma says, your brat worth crushing. And Goliath Spot just comes up, lifting Sun up by their shirt. Hal calls out, stop right there, I won't allow fighting off the stage. Guzma says, quit making assumptions. The kid's slacking. I'm being nice and getting him up on stage. As Goliath Spot tosses Sun onto the stage, Chartaro announces, set number 2, match number 2. Team Skull Boss Guzma versus Courier Sun. Begins! Grunt A then pops in saying, hey, announcer. Chartaro says, my name is Chartaro. And Grunt says, I don't care what your name is. How the hell are you referring to Courier with an honorific but not my boss? Editor translator's note. Courier's son sounds like Courier's son. Son is pronounced as son in Japanese. Son is pronounced as son in Japanese, huh? See, again, I wonder how that translation came into English. Chertaro says, no, his name is Son. It's not an honorific. Only for Guzma to call out, shut your trap. You're gonna make me lose focus. And Son is at the ready. Okay, I had to look up that Pokemon's name because it's been a hot minute. But Guzma sends out his Masquerain, while Sun sends out Litten. Guzma commands Masquerain to use Water Sport, which, gonna decrease Litten's abilities a little bit. Someone approaches Hala, the Masked Royal, saying, I'm surprised. I would have never thought that the prize would have been an Island Challenge amulet. Hala says, oh, then what were you expecting, Masked Royal? The Masked Royal says, me? I was sure it'd be a battle with you, that the winner would be given the privilege to battle an island kahuna. So I got excited, but I ended up losing anyway. I would have loved to battle you. Hala laughs. I'm honored. However, I consider the amulet more than just proof of taking on the island challenge. The Master Royal says, of course, I know that better than anyone. The island challenge is an ancient tradition after all. I also know that it hasn't been practiced for several years. I suppose it's because there was no one worthy of taking it on. Hala says, indeed. I believe Mulane and Kukui were the last to have done so. Oh, Mulane. Wait, Mulane? Yeah, Mulane. I forgot. Right, okay. Because he barely... I don't know much about it because he didn't really appear in the version of the game that I played. And the Master Royal says... Questions. So you've brought it back like this. What do you intend to do? Hala says apologies, but I'm in the middle of refereeing. Would you allow me to concentrate on the match? You see Litten send out its flaming hairballs, but Masquerain just tanks the damage. Oh, and we see the flaming hairballs lose their spark as they get doused by water sport. Hal says, it's no use, fire-type moves have been weakened. Moon says, yeah. The stage is all wet because of water sport. She then thinks to herself, but this is unexpected. I thought he'd use all his strength and go all out on a fence. Masquerain then uses bubbles, which seems to smother Litten. It's kind of painful looking. Chertaro announces, whoa, Litten has been engulfed by bubble and is unable to battle. Guzma tells Son, well, that's one down. I'm gonna crush you. The crowd is shocked as Chertaro says, there's a stir in the audience. And there should be. Team Skull is a gang of ruffians that continuously causes violence and disorder throughout Alola. Similarly, I got shaken down by them the other day and was stripped of all I have. Is that why you wore that costume to make you look like Tapu Koko? Is it really alright for their hooligan of a boss to keep winning in this sacred? But Chertaro is then interrupted by a slowpoke tail in his mouth. As Grunt A comes in saying, hey you! You're the announcer, right? There shouldn't be any bias in your commentary. Sun then sends out his Meowth, and as it goes up against Masquerain, it just can't get a hit in. I think it's Grunt A who's doing the announcer saying, Sun switches Meowth in and remains at a disadvantage. If repaired, it's repeated attacks continue to miss and hit the stage. But Guzma seems to notice, no, something ain't right. As he says, kid, you. Chertaro says, oh, things are looking bad for Guzma. Krone says, What do you mean? Chertaro says, Masquerain's altitude is dropping. It's about to crash. And Sun then commands me out to use Night Slash, and it tags Masquerain, downing it instantly. Moon says, when Masquerain's antenna get wet, it loses its ability to fly. Hal says, he used the water on stage to his advantage. He's good. Chertaro says, Masquerain has fainted. Now both. I guess it was supposed to be now both only have one Pokemon. Guzma says, well, aren't you good at pissing people off? And in comes Goliath Pod with first impression. Yeah, I forgot about that ability. Your Goliath Pod just rams into you when it's introduced. I love that ability. Hal says, oh, a strong move. Right off the bat, and Goliath's Pod just starts laying into Meow. Chertaro says, this is awful. Meowth is getting tossed around like a beanbag. It's a one-sided battle. As Guzma calls out, You ain't seen nothing yet. If you underestimate Team Skull, you're dead. I gotta make sure that all of Alola knows what will happen to them if they do. Goliath knocks Meowth into Sun. Oh, then goes on the attack. Sun lifts his arm, and as Goliath strikes, it breaks Sun's arm. Ayas! Moon says very matter-of-factly, he broke his left arm. I was shocked, saying, huh? How can you be so calm about that? Guzma says, hey, trainers aren't supposed to get involved in Pokemon battles, you know? Dang, that's actually pretty brutal. Dang, Guzma? Grunt A says, geez, it's his fault, 'cause he couldn't dodge, right? Right? He says to Chair Taro with his arm around him. Olivia approaches Hala, saying, Hala, why aren't you stopping them? If this goes on and Guzma wins. But Hala just simply says, that's fine. The winner will take the Island Challenge amulet. We need someone strong. Someone weak will not be fit for the job. Olivia is obviously in disbelief at this statement, but, I kinda don't blame Hala, given the situation. Goliath then goes in on the attack once again on Meowth, slamming it into the stage. Guzma chuckles to himself, but his joy is broken as Sun says, you've done it? Now you've done it. Guzma questions this comment. Sun says, your Goliath sure does stink. You raised it from a worm pod, right? It's a natural scavenger that eats anything, even if it's rotten, right? Does it still do that now? Either way, its claws are filthy. Guzma questions, so what if it does? Sun says, my sense descended from royalty, you see. Real prideful. It gets especially hysterical when the coin on its forehead gets dirty. When that happens, not even I can control it. And as Goliath touches the coin on Meowth's forehead, Meowth grabs Goliath claws. Meowth's eyes have gone completely blank. Goliath is then suddenly lifted off the ground by Meowth. God damn! Much to the shock of Guzma, Hal, and Moon, and Meowth tosses Goliath's I didn't realize it at first, but at Guzma gets out of the way. The Sun says, dodged it, huh? But Meowth isn't done, as it just starts raging against Goliath's Chertaro says, this is amazing. It's a claw versus claw showdown. Hal says, this is so cool, huh? As he notices Moon is gone. Well, she's now, opening her little medicine case. He questions, what are you doing? Moon says, the carrier broke a bone, didn't he? If he's in pain, he won't be able to fight properly in the finals, That's why I'm making some painkillers. Hal says, huh? You know he's gonna win? Moon says, of course. As Sun has Meowth use Payday, hitting Goliath with a ton of coins. And Goliath is down. Hal cheers, Olivia cheers. Chertaro says, Goliath has fainted. Meowth is victorious. Jeez. Guzma then starts freaking out. I couldn't tell it what is going on here. But Guzma then calls out, Guzma, what are you doing? Let your prize team destroy more. And he starts slamming his head into the stage. Grunt A comes up and pulls him back. Guzma recalls his Pokemon. The shards of glass from his sunglass now embedded in his forehead, blood dripping down his face and on to his Pokeballs. He says to his Pokemon, you put up a good fight, Masquerade Goliath. I'll let you kick more ass next time. But as he and the grunts walk off, Olivia approaches saying, put it right there. You may have barged in, but you're still a participant, Stay and watch until the winner is decided. But without looking at her, Guzma says, are you ordering the great Guzma around, old hag? Olivia's taken back, almost fainting, saying, hag? But Nanu catches her. As Guzma walks off, he says, the only one who can order me around is that person. Meanwhile, Sun, ignoring his broken arm, says, I made some dough, picking up the coins. Moon brings him all the rest of them, saying, here. Sun says, oh, thanks, miss. She then applies some ointment, saying, here's some painkillers. Sun says, for free. But Moon interrupts, saying, yes, for free. Now, if only we had a splint. Sun says, I have one. Would a long, thin rock work? Moon says, well, yeah. She then brings out her, Grubbin? Yeah, Grubbin. I guess I don't know if the Rotom was hers, but I guess this is the first Pokemon we've seen of hers. And Grubbin starts to wrap it up with a string shot on his broken arm. Sun questions, when did you catch that grubbin? Moon says, right after I became a participant. She literally just got it. Dang. As Sun is now sitting on the bench with Hal, she says, Rowlet, Grubbin, look after the courier for me, okay? The Hal says, I'll watch him too. Both Hal and Rowlet are staring at Sun. Sun questions, huh? Not participating with these two? Moon says, correct. Oh, wow, she already has 4 Pokemon. Interesting. Hala says, set number 2, match number 2, Moon versus Gladion, begin! And she sends out her 2 Pokemon, Marini and Grimer. Hala says, Moon, this is a single battle, you know. Moon says, I just wanted to show him my team. I'll use one at a time during the battle. Gladion's team consists of type Null and Porygon. It'd be unfair if I was the only one to know the other side's team. Gladion smiles, saying, you're a strange one. Now then. He sends out Porygon, whereas Moon sends in Grimer, and Grimer grapples on to Porygon. Chertaro saying, grappling right off the bat. What kind of fight will this become? Moon then says, Gladion, sorry for doing this mid-match. There's something I wanted to ask you about. Gladion questions, what is it? Moon questions, you said you found a crack in the sky, right? I might have seen the same thing you did. What was that? Also, does it have anything to do with your participating in the full forces battles? Gladion pauses and it says, fine, I'll tell you, but only if you beat me in this match. Moon giggles, thinking, I thought he'd say that. Oh, they're kind of cute. I kind of ship it. Gladion then says, I want to ask you something too. Moon says, what's that? What is it? Gladion says, Marini and Grimer. Is there a reason why you chose poison types? Moon says, I'm a pharmacist. Making medicine is what I do. To make medicine, I need to have an understanding of poison. There are also cases where you can make medicine out of poison. Gladion says, so they're your research subjects, I see. Moon says, that's not all. Aren't poison types Pokemon the cutest? Especially Alolan Grimer. Its colors are just the greatest. Okay, I understand now. I kind of like that she has that perspective. She's kind of adorable. Gladion and Sun are both taken aback as Sun thinks to himself, she's a poison maiden. There's a ton on single woman and poison being similar. Again, that correlation just goes right over my head. Alright, we have the next chapter, which is titled The Party Crasher and Guzma the Destroyer. So, are the Party Crasher and Guzma the Destroyer 2 separate people? Well, I would have thought they'd been one and the same. Okay, so we see Gladion's Pokemon, Sun's Pokemon, and I guess Moon's Pokemon, which she has a Alolan Grimer, and what is that called again? Marini. So she's more about poison-type Pokemon? Interesting. I'm the one who will win. Alright, Chertaro announces, Sun has made it to the finals of the full force battles. The other match of the semifinals is a clash between Moon and Gladion. Will it be Gladion who advances to the final round of the full force battles? Or will it be Moon? Moon's Grimer has wrapped itself around Gladion's Porygon, rendering Porygon unable to move. Yes, freaking choking out Porygon. But as Moon looks at it, she thinks to herself, how odd. Even if it can't move, Porygon should be able to fire a strong side beam from point-blank range. I thought about estimating its timing and then making my next move, but now it seems that both of us are unable to move. She looks towards Gladion. She's focused on the battle, and Gladion looks over at her, I guess thinking to himself. Gladion then calls out, I see how it is. Moon questions this, and Gladion says, after all, it wouldn't be fair if only I knew. So I'll tell you, Grimer's Alolan form's type is poison and dark. Moon is shocked, saying, huh? You mean it's not just a poison type? Samsonite then says, correct. A Pokemon's body adapts to the climate of the area it lives in. That influence makes it seem like a different Pokemon, from its appearance to its type. These are known as regional variants. Chertaro then announces, the authority on regional variants. Professor Samsonite has graciously taught us in person. Sun then starts slapping his knee, saying, what, miss, you didn't know about that? Even Alolan babies know that. And Moon grows angry, thinking to herself, I don't even live here, you know. But I can't really blame the courier for making fun of me. I noticed that his Meowth was different in some ways, but I didn't ask about it. What you don't know isn't something to be ashamed of. What you should be ashamed of is not trying to learn. Seek knowledge, and if you can attain it, confirm it through examination and practice. If I do that, the knowledge will be genuine. And I guess without words, she commands Grimer to just slam Porygon into the ground. Oh no, smother it. Interesting. Sun says, it's painful, isn't it? You can always give up, you know. But Gladian says, are you stupid? Porygon is an artificial Pokemon created through the power of science to be activated in the void of space. In other words, it doesn't need to breathe. In other words, it's not in any pain. And Porygon then shocks Grimer right then and there, knocking it out. Jeez. Turtle says, it's this discharge. Grimer has let go of Porygon and fallen down. Unable to battle. Grimer is unable to battle. But Moon seems undeterred, saying, great job, Grimer. Go, Marini! Marini then skates across the battlefield. Gladian saying, so this time you're being sure to look out for Psybeam and trying to keep from getting hit by running around randomly. What a waste of effort. We'll still be able to read your movements and make an accurate prediction. That is the programmed artificial Pokemon's forte. But Moon simply says, artificial, huh? I felt it when I saw your other Pokemon type no. Because you made a Pokemon into a patchwork, it became too strong. So you're restraining it with a metal mask. It's like a Pokemon that was created an artificial Pokemon. Do you have special feelings for artificial Pokemon? Gladian looks away, saying, that's a question I have no particular need to answer. Moon shrugs, saying, oh, that's unfortunate. But you heard about my special feelings towards poison types. Don't you think that's unfair? Gladian then shoots her a glare, and Moon says, I'm sorry, it's just I get this sort of sciencey feeling from you. I'm from a family of scholars, so I feel an affinity for you. That's interesting. An interesting connection there. So Moon's kind of like a Platinum. You know, comes from a family of people who are into researching and stuff like that. Gladian says, is it okay for you to be rambling? Porygon's read through your Marini's movements. He commands Porygon to use Psybeam, but Marini manages to dodge. Gladian is shocked, saying, it missed? Meanwhile, Moon has a wide grin on her face. I couldn't tell before, but Sun has his arm bandage. Did I miss a chapter? Okay, so at this point in the video, I've just come off of going back and reading the previous chapter. I still can't believe that I didn't realize that I had skipped over an entire chapter. I was kind of questioning a few things, but obviously I wasn't questioning enough. So now, as of now, I do know why Sun's arm is broken. Oh man, I can't believe I did that. But you know, authenticity and all that. But Sun is shocked by something as Hal questions, what's the matter? Sun says that Porygon's been poisoned. When Porygon was wrapped up by Grimer, it took in poison gas from Grimer's insides. When the girl said, it's painful, isn't it? It wasn't about Porygon being unable to breathe. Hal says, that Marini's going around in circles in her long rambling. Sun says, yeah, she was buying time until the poison took effect and Porygon's reaction slowed. Hal and Sun then cling to each other. Hal saying, scary. Sun says, the poison made it scary. Moon eyes them, saying, how rude. It's only got a little HP left. Considering Porygon's physical condition, you don't have time to recalculate Marini's movements, do you? But Gladian says, don't underestimate us. And he commands Porygon to use Zap Cannon, Jeebus, and Electric. That's probably super effective. Moon is shocked, and as she goes to her down Marini, she says, even when its aim isn't always as you want it to be, I can't believe you intentionally use the move with a low accuracy rate. I don't get it. But Gladian tells her, Pokemon battles aren't so easy that you can command them with only knowledge and skill. In a battle between those nearly matched in ability, the weight of that which the trainer and Pokemon are burdened with decides the outcome. Remember that. That is the most edgy thing you could say possible. Okay, Shadow the Hedgehog. Moon is sent reeling, thinking, what is he even talking about? Luck and the weight of feelings? I lost to something so unscientific. You just see the words in the background. It's so irrational. I don't get it. It's so irrational. I don't get it. And so Chertaro announces he won. It's Gladian's victory. The full force battle finales has been decided to be the solitary warrior Gladian versus Courier Sun. As Moon walks off stage, Hao and Sun tend to her, Sun saying, keep it together, miss. Chertaro says, one of these two will get the honor of victory. Meanwhile, Gladian is applying some potion to Porygon. Hala approaches saying, Gladian, this series of battles has been tiring, has it not? How about a 30-minute break? Gladian says, no, I'm fine. Courier, how about you? Sun steps forward saying, I'm fine too. I want to defeat you and get that treasure ASAP. And so they face off, Hala saying, final match, begin! Gladian immediately sends in Type Null, while Sun sends in Meowth. Sun commands Meowth to use Night Slash, but I think Type Null uses its helmet to deflect the blow. Yeah, sure enough. Meowth's claws just reverberate the pain back into its hand, and it flies back reeling. Sun says, damn it, it's really tough. We gotta attack it so that Iron Mask won't stop it. Miss, take a good look. Your enemy's gonna get done in by me. She's not watching, as you see Moon looking away, sulking. Though Hal says we're watching, as you see Rowlet cheering too. You'd almost think Rowlet was Hal's Pokemon. I think, did Hal have the Rowlet in the anime? But with Sun looking away, Meowth is attacked by Type Null using X-Scissor. And immediately faints. Davis. Sun calls out, Scent! Chertaro says his first Pokemon Meowth is already unable to battle. Null's strength is overwhelming. Sun says, shit. Dollar! Ember! The Type Null again uses his helmet to deflect. Sun swings his fist, saying, damn it, that Iron Mask is still in the way. But then he realizes something, saying, wait a sec. If outside's no good, what about inside? I can have a Dollar sneak the fur he's shed under the mask, and then from the inside, kaboom! How though? Sun says, that's it. Watch out for Ironhead and X-Scissor and go. Litten starts to maneuver around, getting on back of Type Null. Olivia questions, how does this battle look to you? Nana says, that's not even worth asking. It's that Iron Mask kids win. Olivia says, yeah, even looking at his luck during his battle against Moon. Nana says, yeah, he's too strong. Except, something's bugging me about that kid. I feel like I've seen that Iron Mask somewhere. Was it in the documents from my old house? If that's the case, then his burden might actually be very heavy. Olivia says, it seems that he said something when he entered the full force battles. If I win these battles, will I be able to meet the Tapu Pokemon, or so I heard? Nana says, is that so? Chertaro then announces, Sun's Litten, just what kind of battle is this? It's certainly aiming at Type Null's neck, but it's just clinging on to it. Gladian grows angry and shouts, stop your tricks! And as Type Null shake Litten off of it, we see the hairballs fall out of its mask. Sun says, shoot, we've been exposed. All the fur and shed's been blown away. Gladian says, even with broken bones, you were prepared to go up to the stage of battle. I thought you were burdened by something too, but you've just been messing around like a fool. The Sun gets pissed, saying, here we go again, so damn picky. Just because I don't act all serious like you do, don't go looking down on me and deciding I'm not burdened with something. Even I, me, Dollar, and Cents have all got something we won't ever surrender. With this body alone, with these arms, I'll save 100 million yen with all I've got. What is he trying to use that money for? Is it like great-grandpa sick or something? Suddenly, there's a feeling Sun gets from in his wrapped-up hand. Oh, the cash shreds off. Sun says, my cash. Hala and the Master Royal are shocked, as Master Royal says, that's a sparkling stone. Why does Sun have? And that pose. He's accidentally going to use a Z move. Light from the heavens shines down upon the Z stone, and as the stone fills with light, that light transfers on to Litten. Sun thinks to himself, what is this? Something's passing through my arm and flowing into Dollar. Litten starts to radiate power. It opens up its mouth and unleashes a devastating fiery attack against Type Null, much to the shock of everyone who is looking, unlike Moon, and Type Null falls. Whoa. Sun, though, then drops his knees, barely getting out. We did it, Dollar. But what was that move just now? It was Ember, but it seemed different. Sun then falls on his back, looking up at the stars. He questions, huh? Why am I lying down? Surprise, I've gotta go cash it in. And he fades off. Meanwhile, Gladian is walking off, thinking to himself, I've lost the means to get close to the Tapu, but that time won't wait for me. I must train myself further, while in a place where I'll know exactly when that time has come. Those mysterious creatures from another dimension, the Ultra Beasts. I'll confront them then and there. Okay. Ultra Beast. Later, Sun wakes up during the daytime. There's light out and the sun is shining on him. He says, bright. But as he leans up, he says, huh? What happened to the battle? But then he notices the Island Challenge amulet on his chest. He holds it up saying, the Island Challenge amulet. Oh, that's right. I won. All right. I'm going to cash it in. Huh? Where am I? A voice calls up, above the ocean. As the Rotom Dex floats above him, Sun says, huh? What the hell are you? And above the ocean, what happened to me? As the Sun is now on a boat. Okay, then. It's just moving him along whether he wants to be or not. Okay, things are in full swing. Gladian continues to be my favorite character in this, aside from Guzma, yo boy Guzma. But despite his edgy personality, Gladian isn't a bad person in any way. He's not even overly mean. He's very dismissive of those without a lot of conviction going on. Or at least in his opinion, not a lot of conviction. But you can really tell from the jump he has a good heart and a good head on his shoulder, which is very true to the character. But his kind of interesting connection to Moon fascinates me. They immediately clicked, and that is interesting. And I feel that while Sun seems to be the protagonist, Moon has gotten a lot of the heavier story beats between her interactions with Lily and now with Gladian. She's tied in with the really core story element, and I'm very interested to see how she interacts with that going forward, despite the fact that Sun has been forced into the plot. So I don't think that's a bad way of going about it. It's just I'm just more interested in Moon's side of the story. And I would have liked it if Hal had at least come with. But from what I've been told, Hal doesn't really factor in too much, which is kind of unfortunate. And that move from Guzma breaking Sun's arm, dang, that was brutal. But then smashing his head onto the stage, man, Guzma got issues. But the rumblings of the Ultra Beasts, okay, that's good stuff. So far, I think my separation from the game, where I haven't played it in so long, helps me to appreciate a lot of these story beats for what they are. But I can't wait for the story to really, really ramp up, because we're still just only at the beginning stages. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also remember to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Check out the full version on Patreon. And until next time, have a Duuz-Diz-Din, and I hope to see you later. So then take care. Bye-bye.